I dodge backwards! Holy shit, stop dodging backwards. No. Yes! No! Yes! Oh!
I'm getting so greedy. YOLO, I'm trading. Oh! Juice!
What the fuck? I can't even understand his attack patterns anymore, dudes. They're so varied and random, dude. They're so out of the ordinary. Yeah! Yes! Got it, finally! Ah.
Pray? A lot? Oh, is this near a mountain? What? Dead. Success! We got him! Woo! Nice!
It's the early 90s, and you just got yourself an NES and a fresh copy of Battletoads alongside it. You're ecstatic as you've read about it in magazines and heard good things from some of your other friends who recently just got the game. So you finish up dinner and excitedly put up the game and play it for what seems like hours. But then you get to that one infamous stage and things get significantly slower. You make mistakes, your hovercraft crashes constantly, you lose lives again and again and again, and you fail incredibly precision demanding moves. At first you thought it was just a bump in the road that it would take a few minutes to overcome, but those minutes turn to hours and hours turn to days. You're devastated, but persistent as you have no other choice. You only get a few games in a year, and this is one of them, so you push on. And finally, you did it. You're ecstatic for days and even complete the game, because if you can get over that one seemingly unbeatable hurdle, you can beat anything the game has to throw at you. Gaming was a lot different back in the 70s and 80s. Instead of the usual rage-infused online sessions on high-tech consoles and PCs, gamers gathered in these things called arcades, where they would waste their lives away indulging in their favorite pastimes. However, gaming was an expensive hobby even back then. Gaming companies made their money by developing almost impossibly tough games for arcades, and they in turn made their money by charging lots of quarters to play these games, which again are incredibly tough to beat or complete. So tough in fact that players would have to come with their pockets filled to the brim with change to even consider getting far in these games. As the years went by, arcades would begin to dwindle in popularity, and home consoles such as NES or Famicom and later SNES, Sega Mega Drive, and Sega Saturn popularized home consoles. In turn, games would begin to launch on these consoles alongside their cabinet counterparts, but still kept their toughest nail difficulty for a while. This, however, would be changed as the years went by and gaming began to shift from the niche medium it once was to the globally accepted and recognized part of pop culture it is today. The medium would eventually evolve from sweaty guys and girls in their noisy arcades to noisy guys and gals in their basement and rooms yelling obscenities in lobbies or spending time training to perfect and hone their skills. On the other side of this was the growing casual audience, which in the modern era gaming companies would always try to appease and grow in order to maximize their player base. After all, believe it or not, the gaming industry is a business industry, and the goal of every business is to make as much money as possible. Companies would start incorporating difficulty modes in their games, allowing for more players of varying skills to enjoy said games, the effectiveness of which would severely be dependent on the competency of the developer. Some games would just increase or decrease the number of hits or bullets an enemy would take to be defeated, how much damage the player takes, and how much experience and money he would receive, while others would put in a little bit more effort. This is where dynamic difficulty sets in. Dynamic difficulty, for those who are unaware, is the mechanic used by what I call fancier developers of the industry who want to make a challenging experience but don't want to dip their toes all the way into the water. For clarity's sake, dynamic difficulty or dynamic difficulty adjustment is a method of automatically modifying a game's features, behaviors, and scenarios in real time depending on the player's skill so that the player, when the game is very simple, does not feel bored or frustrated when it is very difficult. Basically, the game adjusts to the player's skill level. If they're stuck, things would start to become easier, and if they're popping off, the man would seek to bring them down. Games like God Hand, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 3 have successfully used this mechanic, while other games have notoriously used this model for malicious purposes. Looking at you, yeah. But of course, there will always be outliers, and these come in the form of the several but limited number of AA and indie game devs who stick to their guns and take the risk to create incredibly difficult, beautifully crafted, and highly rewarding experiences regardless of its possibility for profitability. And a good number of these risk takers in the industry beat the odds and become a success, and even garner a highly passionate, dedicated fanbase due to the game's nature. After all, why wouldn't I want to share my experiences with an ungodly amalgamation of drama and accomplishment with those who suffered from and achieved what I experienced all in one? It's quite fun, really. However, lately we begin to see a gradual shift to the extreme end of this spectrum. More and more casual players begin to speak up against these sort of games, as if to finally voice out their oppression of some sort. Games should be easier, games should be more accessible. Is Dark Souls difficulty necessary? Elden Ring shouldn't be this highly rated because it's not available by everyone. These comments seemingly endlessly come out of the woodwork as more challenging skill-based games are produced and become a success, and everyone feels the need to express their professional and personal opinions on said games. And in this age of mass consumerism, it's no surprise that this sort of thing starts to work out and the very vocal audiences start to affect these developers in some shape or form. We see games like Sifu backpedaling on one of its core gimmicks, its difficulty, due to popular demand. That's not all, of course. We also have games like Returnal adding a multiplayer option post-launch where, and I quote, the hosting player invites another player to join their session to help them overcome their current challenge. We see lots of new remasters and the aforementioned difficult retro games adding in new user-friendly options like save states and rewinds, and in the cases where these passionate vocal audiences don't get what they want, they decide to take matters in their own hands. Now, are these vocal audiences right in their demands? Well, let's highlight some of the most used excuses. I spend most of my day working and don't have time to spend mastering a game that's so difficult. Well, while I recognize that not everyone has the same opportunities, I still believe that there are two options people in this category can take into account. One, you can research the game and find out whether or not it's a good fit for you and play it. Or two, you can purchase the game and play it at your own pace, master the game at your own pace, and pick the game at your own pace. The second option is crucial, especially if you're a serious fan of that new game that's just released, as I feel like you'll be more likely to spend time learning and mastering this game you so desperately want to play. I have a disability and I'm unable to play these games due to their difficulty. They should be more accessible. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, some of these games, while being well crafted, aren't accessible, either because of a lack of interest or a lack of resources, which is a big shame. However, I also believe it's only fair to recognize that difficulty isn't the same as a lack of accessibility. For example, if a game like Elden Ring were to add accessibility features, while still keeping the difficulty as same as it can be, it would be an even better game than it is now. The next question I'd like to bring up is, why do these vocal audiences make these demands? Is it a combination of a lack of skill, entitlement, and the unwillingness to admit that they just suck and should get good? Yes. No. As I mentioned earlier, skills are something you can always develop. What it actually is the lack of patience. Because while time is a very limited commodity, patience is not. Patience is a crucial skill and virtue needed to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges in life and in video games. And that's why I believe a good number of people quit these sort of games, because they lack the patience to follow through and learn how to overcome the challenges the games throw at. Either way, I didn't make this video to antagonize casual gamers or any other group of people for that matter. In the end, I still believe everyone should be able to play games however they wish. If you're the kind of gamer that plays games solely to enjoy the story and the experience they provide, or just don't have the time to spend on games anymore, then you have every right to choose the easier difficulty modes, wherever that option is available. And if you're the kind of gamer that demands a challenge from every game they play, then you should never be shamed for cranking up that difficulty and popping up whenever you can, because it's your God-given right, goddammit. However, you should also acknowledge that not all games are for everyone, and that forcing a game to tailor to your demands is weird. After all, you wouldn't expect Pokemon games to suddenly become more challenging, so why would you expect the FromSoft games to suddenly become easier? Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you've reached this part of the video, I genuinely hope you've enjoyed the video, and if not, that's alright. You can check out my other videos. I'll try and upload regularly, so stick around and subscribe maybe, leave a like, comment, do whatever you want. I'm not your mom.